Hello everyone, thank you for taking some time off your work to join our webinar. I'm Meenakshi Sundaram, one of the product marketers for Zoho Vault, and I'll be running you through this session for today. We've got Christopher with me, like earlier introduced. He's our technical engineer. He'll be helping you guys if you have any technical queries at the end of the session. So primarily we'll be focusing on cybersecurity and the threats involved for businesses of all types and sizes, and why getting a password management solution would be a great starting point for your organization this new year. We'll then be talking about a lot of numbers throughout this session. It's going to be really informative and interesting. So I'll request you guys to stay till the end of the session to get the complete picture of why password management is a really key aspect of cybersecurity. And as always, you can feel free to post your questions at the end of this webinar, and we'll be happy to answer them all. Okay. So the agenda first, we'll be starting off with a quick overview on cyber threats and how it has affected enterprises over these years and continues to do so. We'll then see why password management plays a key role in cybersecurity and quickly talk about the basics of password management as well. We'll also discuss what a password manager is all about and what it should ideally offer for you in detail before closing off with a quick overview on Zoho Vault. Zoho Vault is Zoho's in-house password manager. So if you guys haven't already tried out Zoho Vault, you'll get to know a good amount of detail on what Zoho Vault offers. Finally, we'll conclude with a Q&A session, as I mentioned. So let's get started. After years of lack of awareness, I think enterprises have finally started to identify the importance of cybersecurity at workplace, right? I mean, there's so much more awareness right now than it used to a few years ago. But however, there's still a long way to go because not a lot of them are prepared for imminent cyber threats. Well, you don't have to take my word for it because we let the numbers talk for themselves. Every one of the last few years has been termed as the worst year on record for cyber attacks and data breaches, and it's really becoming a worrying trend. And that's why cybersecurity is more important than ever. With over 5,300 data breaches reported and about 8 billion records exposed in 2019, the last year just saw a 33% rise in the total number of breaches and about 112% increase in the total records exposed over the same period in 2018, which back then was termed as the worst year on record for cybersecurity and cyber breaches. So this in turn is now causing businesses of all sizes an average of $200,000 per security incident. And I mean it when I say businesses of all sizes because 43% of the attacks reportedly target small and medium businesses. While it's the big data breaches that grab your headlines in newspaper page one articles, it's the SMBs that are often targeted by attackers because they're milked by these attackers on a regular basis to pay them their daily wages and stuff like that. So this also comes down to the lack of security infrastructure and other contributing factors in SMBs, but we'll be discussing them in detail shortly. And also it's important to see that even 1/4 of the Fortune 500 companies have reportedly been attacked by hackers over the last decade. So that's some crazy numbers right there. So now comes the inevitable question. Why are so many organizations falling victims to cyber attacks? Can this happen to me in the future? Is my organization vulnerable to cyber threats as well? Well, if you're asking these questions already, I think you're on the right track. But if you think this could never happen to you, I guess I've got some bad news for you because a recent report from Forbes, I had underlined a few facts on why we're so bad at cybersecurity. And yeah, no surprises, neglect was one of the highlighted points listed out in the report. They stated that this could never happen to us attitude often eliminated cybersecurity from all conversations within the organization. And even companies that did have cybersecurity infrastructure set up, they just failed to meet the timeline within which they had to perform the regular system and patching updates. So they just left themselves vulnerable to potential cyber threats as well. And this was often down to lack of resources and time to perform these operations that was mentioned. And another interesting fact was the failure of enterprises to adopt to newer technology. It's interesting because numerous enterprises were reportedly reluctant to or implement newer technologies just because they felt that their change hours employees might not get the hang of it, and that this could negatively impact their productivity. So this is actually something that's really, really startling to see, right? All right. Now, the price that an organization pays for being underprepared or negligent is a lot, and there are some numbers that go with this narrative. Another recent cybersecurity research surveyed the chief information security officers of companies around the world states that over 51% of organizations are not fully prepared to face a cyber attack or a data breach. And what's worse is that 6 out of 10 SMBs that get attacked reportedly go out of business in just about 6 months. And similarly, Fortune 500 companies had to spend huge amounts of money on average to fix the damages caused by these attacks. This so if you see this picture, this continues to resonate the fact that cybersecurity is inevitable regardless of your company's size, right? And that's why we're talking about this in today's session. Okay, so we've seen the impacts caused by cyber attacks. So how do we start addressing them? So let's just start with the points on your left. For starters, you can identify the areas of potential threats for your organization. Much of the business data is on the cloud these days, right? And they all need protection. And the amount of data that goes to the cloud continues to increase on a significant proportion. So there could be cases where sensitive customer data is involved as well and needs critical levels of protection. So the first step towards addressing your security issues is through self-assessment. Identify where your key areas are, or where your critical systems are located, what type of protection they require, and all that stuff. And once you identify your critical systems and vulnerabilities, it's important to keep them updated on a timely basis and roll out critical fixes as and when required. And as we learned just a little while ago, time acts as a crucial factor in these cases, right? So there can never be any sort of compromise with respect to cyber security measures that you carry out in your organization. And also, it's vital to define the access privileges of every individual in your organization. Your users should be allowed to access only the accounts and systems that are part of their business activities, and they must be prevented from accessing other privileged information. So what this does is it prevents unauthorized access and reduces the risk of an insider threat as well. So any potential malicious insiders that might be in your organization, they cannot access unauthorized or stuff that they're not privileged to access, right? And all 3 points that I've mentioned here require elaborate planning, monitoring, regular audits, and implementation. And all this stuff has to happen on a periodic basis, right? So this should be what your organization should aim for in the long run, the ultimate goal, right? But for now, if you're looking to start small and create instant impact on your organization's security, you can start with the points on your right by using secure, strong passwords for all your accounts, because passwords act as the first line of defense for your sensitive data, right? And it's important to secure them. We'll be talking about more of this soon. And also ensure you have two-factor authentication for all your critical accounts as well. It definitely helps. And having backup copies of your data helps as well, because this comes in handy during emergencies and acts as a disaster recovery option. So whenever you need access to critical data and they're unavailable, you can right away go to your backup copies and keep your business running as well. And finally, setting up firewalls for your network can also help you filter the incoming traffic and keep potential external threats at bay as well. Okay. So your efforts shouldn't be stopping right there. If you think, is that all I do? No, that's just where you begin, right? So now you got to take a few extra steps to ensure that whatever good work you've done earlier doesn't get wasted. So we've got a few more points that could come in handy if you're trying to stay secure 24/7. So you must start training your employees regularly on the importance of cybersecurity and why it can never be compromised. Because Only when you get all your employees on the same page and ensure that everybody is serious about cybersecurity, you'll be able to progress as an organization on the cybersecurity front, right? And then you should be performing regular audits to identify any new vulnerabilities in your environment, because it's not a one time thing. There's often new issues popping up as well, right? So you should be able to identify these new threats and also note them down and get the fixes done immediately as well. So what this helps you with is that it'll help you update your security policies on a regular basis, and it'll help you be prepared for any latest threats as well. So again, when your employees are aware of this, they will be able to notify you of any potential threats that you might be facing. So all of this is pretty much a cycle that will help you improve altogether. And if you're someone that works closely with third parties or have a business account on a website that's been impacted by a security breach, keeping track of the information that you've lost to the attackers is also very important. And you should implement all possible damage control measures and update your credentials whenever necessary, because it's really key to stop the damage at one point, right? You shouldn't be causing further chaos to your own business. And businesses are legally liable if they fail to protect the personal data of their customers. And with data protection laws like GDPR and CCPA in place, you could see yourself being at the receiving end if you fail to protect your consumer data. So it's important to start with a clear privacy policy that ensures that their data is secure. Also, you shouldn't retain the data of your customers when you no longer have valid reasons to do so, right? And if you're a sizable organization, you should try building a team of IT security professionals and appoint a chief information security officer. And you can trust them with implementing and maintaining a secure environment in your organization, right? And again, as always, have a backup plan when things go south. A tested disaster recovery plan should always keep your business running if your services were to go down. So, in the event of a likely attack or a potential threat, you can still be ensured that you have something to depend on, right? That should only be your backup plan. That should never be your primary plan as well. All right. So we've talked about cybersecurity till this point of our session. You might have this question, say, now where does password management fit in the cybersecurity narrative, right? After all, it's just one weak password. Okay, if you're thinking that way, you should think again, because a data breach investigation report published last year by Verizon stated that over 60% of the hacking attempts were made using stolen credentials, and about 1 in 3 breaches involve the use of weak or stolen credentials. This is exactly why we need to improve our password management skills. But before we do that, let's just see where we go wrong, right? It's just a password after all. What are we doing wrong? If you're not already using a password management solution, say like Zoho Vault, it's highly likely that you're managing your passwords through one of the methods shown on your screen. You can just look at the screen and identify these things yourself and see, or probably not looking at the screen and think like, oh yeah, this is me. If that is you, you should definitely start to move away from that method, the traditional methods of password management that you see on your screen, because this has been a common trend we've noticed across the world. People either use sticky notes to stick passwords on their desks, or rather have them stored in a text file, personal diary, or spreadsheets. And if not, they end up reusing their password, which complicates issues in an exponential way as well. So there are various challenges involved that could lead to potential security issues if you're maintaining your passwords in either of these way, or any other unsecure method as well. Say for example, you would risk exposing yourself to a shoulder attack through passwords stored on sticky notes, because anybody can view them, right? If your diary ends up in wrong hands, it could be complete chaos for you. And collaboration takes a hit when your passwords are stored in text files and spreadsheets, because there's no secure way to share limited number of passwords with your colleagues, right? If you jotted down every single password of yours in the same spreadsheet, you are more likely to share the entire spreadsheet with them, which leads to unnecessary complications. And in addition to this, if you're maintaining a common spreadsheet across your company, where people just write down all the passwords in your organization and maintain a single spreadsheet, you'll have no control over who has access to which password or account at any point. And if you share your passwords in plain text with a colleague, or let's say drop them in a group chat with your team, you're actually exposing the critical component that protects your data with numerous people, right? It's the password that gives access to different accounts, which could be really sensitive for your business operations. So this could prove fatal in the long run if your colleagues share these passwords loosely as well. Like, you would have intended to just share the password with one person, but they would have probably passed it on to other people because you did so in a not so cool way. You would have probably shared them in plain text, which is never advisable. And this is why getting a password manager should be your top agenda for 2020 if you haven't got it on your agenda already. Okay, so there's two sides to what a password manager can offer. It gives your organization a security boost, which is what we'll be seeing now. That's point A. Point B is that it gives you the comfort, right? The benefit that comes with it are so much that you would love using a password manager for more than just its security if you start using one. So let's just begin with the security part first. A password management solution can efficiently help you address all your password related problems. Say, for starters, it helps you securely organize your passwords in a single place. Thereby, you'll just have to remember one password to unlock your password manager, eliminating the need to remember multiple passwords. So you'll be able to just create a firm, strong password for your password manager, which should help you view and manage different passwords. So you might ask me this. So what do I do when it comes to creating passwords for other accounts? So this, if you're getting a password manager, it means that you get to generate secure and strong passwords for all your accounts as well, which is another key factor, which helps you store secure passwords for all online accounts, because you're not going to remember them, right? The password manager will store them for you, and you'll only remember one password to access them. So that way, you'll not have to break your heads over what password you'll have to assign to any account that you might sign up in the upcoming days, or whenever you access another account. And you can also safely share your passwords with your colleagues, friends, family, and anyone, because it's easy to track, monitor, and manage every user's actions and action privileges. And every user's actions, let's say copying, if a user copies a password, if they view a password, everything gets tracked in the password manager. So you can have a track of what's going on with regards to your passwords. And finally, this results in the perfect blend of security with simplicity, right? Because you get easy access to websites and applications, because your password managers autofill credentials from your password manager. Your password manager just autofills your credentials onto the websites where you want to log in. Let's say you want to log into Twitter tomorrow. You just save the credentials for your Twitter account in a password manager. You can just launch Twitter's website from using our password management service, and you wouldn't have to manually enter your username and password at any point. So that's another benefit that comes with using a password manager. Okay, so that's the technical part of it. So what do I get beyond security? So I talked about two parts, right? First was the security. Now we'll see what other benefits you would get beyond just security. Like I mentioned earlier, you would get access to numerous benefits. Like, say, you can access your passwords from anywhere in the world. You can access them from your personal laptop, mobile phones, tablet computers, or just about any computing device. And from a recent test that we conducted, we were able to identify that autologging credentials from the password managers saved about 40% of time when compared with entering them manually. So if you're an organization with about, say, 100 users, and your users access an average of about 20 applications, just for example, let's say 100 users access 20 applications per day, you could end up collectively saving over 80 productive hours per month. That's crazy, right? And again, a password manager would also be compliant with the regional security laws, so you wouldn't have to worry much about taking care of them. and you can trust your passwords with the password manager that's compliant with all these laws. And you can always be audit ready, as the password access details of every user would be available for your access 24 cross 7. And another interesting fact is that password reset requests reportedly cost a huge amount of money for organizations. Some even say it's up to $70 per reset request. So when people forget a password to an important application, their productivity gets hampered, right? Same goes for the IT personnel who would keep other critical tasks aside to just work on a password reset request that comes in. The reason why this is worrying is because an earlier report from Gartner stated that over 30% of the calls received by IT help desks were related to password reset requests. So imagine the amount of time and productive hours you would be losing as an organization collectively. And finally, some password managers offer single sign-on services as well. And this can be used to track users' access to applications from anywhere in the world. What this does is it can help you instill the security practices in the work from anywhere culture that's happening right now. So you can just go ahead and give your employees a free hand on their choice of work location and just go ahead as they wish. Okay, and right now that we've seen the key features of a password manager and what all you could get with a password manager, let's take a quick look at Zoho Vault, which is an in-house password manager from Zoho. Some of you might already be familiar with and be using Zoho Vault already, but here's a quick recap for our new users before we talk about what's new in Zoho Vault for this year as well. Oh, and by the way, Zoho Vault is part of Zoho One for all of those who are asking. All right, now that you've decided that password manager is the way to go about, your first question would be, does Zoho have a password management solution, right? The answer is yes, we do, and it's called Zoho Vault. So with Vault, you can securely store all your passwords without worries, as they're encrypted in the client side with military grade AES 256 encryption. And additionally, as a password manager, Vault secures not only web credentials but also all your sensitive data like your license details, bank account or healthcare details, social security number, server credentials, SSH keys, certificates, and a lot more. And you can also secure your critical documents and notes with Zoho Vault. Another thing is sharing passwords. Sharing passwords with Vault is easy and extremely secure because users can share their passwords with one of 4 different permissions like one-click login permission, view, edit, and manage permissions. So what are these about? So let's say you want to share a password with a user. You can pick one of these 4 options. Let's see what those 4 options does. The one-click login privilege restricts users from viewing passwords in plain text when you share with them, so that it only allows them to log into that particular website but never know what password they're using for that account. And users with the view and edit permissions can view and edit the passwords accordingly, whereas the users with the manage permission get complete access of the password, meaning they can share it with other users or even delete it from your organization's vault and so on. So you'll have to be responsible when you select the sharing option for your users. And another important feature of Vault is that users can directly log into their web accounts with a single click using our browser extensions. So you'll no longer have to remember your passwords or enter your credentials while authenticating to online accounts here on. The moment you enter or upload all your credentials in Vault, you'll be able to access them from our browser extensions and just click auto login, which will automatically log you into the website or application of your choice. And similarly, Vault also supports single sign-on for various applications, which will help you simplify your authentication even further. And you can add or remove multiple users as and when required to your Zoho Vault account. And this massively helps you with the onboarding and offboarding process. Um, Also say whenever an employee leaves your company on bad terms, you can immediately acquire all the passwords owned by them and revoke their access to Vault. So what this does is it prevents them from accessing any of your business passwords, thereby ensuring that only the right personnel have access to all your critical information at all points of time. And you can also track every action made by your users in Vault in real time and see live records of who has accessed which password at what time, from what browser, and IP address as well. So you've got uh, multiple layers of security that you can just utilize and narrow down who's accessed which particular password, and see if an unauthorized user is trying to access or perform some sensitive operations on a password that they shouldn't be doing, essentially, right? And also you can get email notifications for critical events that occur when you're away from your system. So what this means is, for example, say your users or passwords get deleted by someone or some of the admins in your company, you can instantly get notified. So if somebody is doing an action that they shouldn't ideally be doing, you can get to the bottom of it right away. And you can also customize Vault to specify what features your organization does and doesn't require. Say, for example, Vault allows users to store their personal and business passwords as well. If a user stores a password as a personal password, nobody else can view them. Not even the admins of Zoho Vault will be able to view them. So what you can do is, if admins think that people in their organization that use Zoho Vault shouldn't be using uh, a Vault to store their personal passwords, they can go ahead and prevent them from storing personal passwords. They can enable IP restriction to prevent users outside the permitted IP range from accessing Zoho Vault, and a lot more. There's so many customization options available that you can try out, and just ensure that Vault does only what you need, and doesn't give you users access to multiple features that we have in our product. So yeah, that's a lot you can do. And finally, Vault also gives you multiple visual reports about every user's activity, and you can even view these specific to a user's action, or you can get organizational overview and see how everybody's accessing stuff within Vault, what sort of passwords they access, how many passwords they access on a regular basis, and so on. And you can also monitor the number of unchanged and weak passwords that your users might have. And what this will do is it'll help you to enforce strong password policies on all your users and eliminate weak passwords from your organization. All right. So now that you've seen a quick overview of what Zoho Vault does, you might want to know how secure Zoho Vault is after all, right? Zoho Vault follows the host-proof hosting concept. So what this ensures is that all your confidential data gets encrypted and decrypted in the client side with AES-256 encryption using the user's master password. So this is something known just to the user. So even Zoho has no access to the data you store, meaning nobody except you can decrypt the data that you've stored in Vault. And again, the encrypted data is securely transmitted over SSL and stored in Zoho servers. And we have multiple data centers across the globe, as you can see here. This will help us comply with the privacy policies that are found across different regions. For example, if you're an EU user, you can sign up to Zoho Vault from zoho.eu/vault, and this particular data will reside only in the EU data centers. And similarly, you can choose a data center of your own preference to keep your business compliant with all the regional laws that you might have. And also, it's notable to mention that Zoho Vault is GDPR compliant as well. All right. Now, as promised, here's a quick update from our side, because if you're looking for a little incentive to implement Zoho Vault across your organization, you've got one, because we've got a complete new interface that's not just colorful for the eyes, but also it also massively improves the productivity of your organization. If you're someone that's already tried Zoho Vault previously, and if you evaluated and checked it out, or if you're still using Zoho Vault right now, and you would like for us to improve the user interface, voila, you've got a new interface from our side. So new interface is lighter, faster, and a whole lot simple. So this should be a delight for you, uh, because I'm just going to quickly walk you through the different screens that are available from our new user interface as well. So it starts with the dashboard. We've got a completely revamped dashboard that's got two different functions. It gives you complete insight to your personal passwords, which you can do so from my dashboard. And you've got a separate dashboard for your team, so you can monitor the password strength and the password security score of your entire organization, and see the different users that are active in your organization, come up with a list of users that perform the most number of operations. You can just do so many stuff. You can just get complete overview of your organization security score from the team dashboard. And my dashboard section definitely helps you monitor your password security, because you can just view the different simple passwords and the ones that you reused, the passwords that are uh, really old, and if you're someone that would like to reset your password on a regular basis, you can do so. You've got different options here which you can really check out very soon. And then the passwords tab has a complete revamped look. So we've got two different views, the tile view and the list view. The one you're seeing is the tile view. So it's completely clean. And another important update is that we've gotten rid of a lot of common terms, or commonly used terms like passphrase, secrets, and chambers. So if you're someone who's already used Zoho Vault, you might be familiar with these terms. Now we've just gotten rid of these terms. We've gone with master password over passphrase. We've used passwords instead of secrets, and we've used folders instead of chambers. And this is how your folders look. You can group multiple passwords in individual folders. So let's say you're part of a marketing team or a finance team. You can just have a subfolder that says social media under marketing, and you can store the passwords to your LinkedIn account, your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter accounts, and all that stuff under that. You can maintain your passwords in a proper structure, so that you can also share these folders with your teammates, and uh, you can just make password management so much easy and secure at the same time. Trust me, it's going to save you so much time. And yeah, like I mentioned, we also support single sign-on, and this is how the layout looks for the single sign-on page. So with single sign-on, you can just enjoy the benefits of passwordless authentication, because once you configure single sign-on, your users would get instant access to applications based on uh, your access uh, your access privileges, and based on your preferences, you can grant access to single sign-on applications to your users, and they'll just have to simply click the application. It just logs them into the account. This is something that will save even more time and increase the productivity of your organization. And as I'd earlier talked about, this is the audit section, where you can view the different actions performed, and when they were performed, and all that stuff. This is the report section that we just walked you through. You can view different reports related to different users, passwords, actions performed in your vault, and so much more. And yeah, so this is another thing that might be delightful for our existing users of Vault. So we've grouped different sections of Zoho Vault's existing UI in our upcoming interface. So we've grouped tools, settings, and admin section together and formed a new tab called settings, which will list all the configurations that you would need access to. It's a really clean and amazing interface that will help you be a lot more productive as well, right? So yeah, and we've got a lot of new different themes that you can enjoy, and you can also share your feedback from right from the UI. You can request for a demo from the UI. You can also contact our support team and get more details right from this UI. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff that's going to come up. And if you guys are really interested to try out the new interface of Zoho Vault, if you'd like to begin your password management journey, or if you'd like to shift to the new interface, feel free to quickly fill out the survey. What we'll do is we'll enable the beta access for your account. Right now, we're just granting access to interested users. So if you and your organization is really interested to access Zoho Vault's new interface, we'll just share this link with you right now in the Q&A section. Please ensure that you fill out the survey. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. It will not take long. You just have to enter your email address, your organization's name, and your name. That's pretty much it. If you're interested to try out the new interface of Vault, please feel free to do so. We've just entered the link to try out to sign up for our new UI. Can you guys confirm if you're able to access this link, please? You can take your time to fill out the survey, and just once you're done with it, just give me a heads up saying, hey, you know what, I'm done. So that way I'll know if you guys are able to access this link. Oh, cool. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I've got a lot of responses. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got a lot of questions pouring in as well. Guys, we're quickly going to finish this session right now and take your questions. Don't worry, we'll be answering all of your questions. We are just about to complete our session. I'm just going to give one more minute for our users to fill out the survey to see if they're interested in enrolling for the new beta. And the next part of our session is going to be really interesting, because what we're going to do is list out the different options that you should be keeping in mind while choosing a password management solution. Ideally, as a representative of Zoho Vault, I would really love if you would try Zoho Vault, because it, in my opinion, it gives you everything you would need to manage your passwords and keep your organization secure. But if you're really keen on knowing what really Vault offers, and if you'd want to compare that with other solutions as well, I would be really open to giving you a fair comparison of what you get with Zoho Vault. And yeah, because our primary objective of the webinar is to encourage our users to use a password manager and learn the importance of using a password manager and how it can potentially help you and your organization. Okay, so I guess everybody was able to access the link. I'm just gonna quickly move on to the last part of our session. Just gonna give 10 more seconds. All right, guys. Yeah, let me just quickly move on to the final part of our session. So yeah, like I earlier said, we just primarily wanted this session to be informative and drive awareness among our user base. So if you're convinced that using a password manager is the way forward, I guess my job's pretty much done here, right? From our side, whatever we aimed at is done. From my perspective, as I earlier said, Vault would satisfy all your password management needs regardless of the size of your organization. We are a password manager for all teams, but even if you'd like to use Zoho Vault for your personal use, or if you'd like to use Zoho Vault for your family, or an enterprise of say 1,000 or 2,000 users, 10,000 users, go ahead and try it out. However, I'll let you pick the right solution for your team by listing out the different features available in Vault, because we've got to be fair here, right? You can just feel free to check if if these features are available in any other vendor that you might be interested in as well before you opt for them, because you've got to get value for your money, right? So starting with the must-have features. So we've divided this section into two parts. One is the must-have features, and the next slide will see what are good-to-have features, the luxury features that you might say. So most important features are you should be allowed to store unlimited passwords and documents, and you should have cross-platform support with 24/7 availability. You should be able to access them from any browser, from anywhere in the world at any time that you would like to, because your passwords are very critical, right? If you cannot access them on time, there's no use having a password manager after all. And also, your password manager should sync your data across all devices, so you shouldn't be focused on accessing it from a particular device, because again it defeats your purpose. And there are certain services that charge you in addition for just the sync that happens. That's not something that Zoho Vault does. You get free sync across all devices. And you can generate and store strong passwords, which is another key feature. You will have access to multi-factor authentication. So you can add, say, Touch ID, OTP, Google Authenticator, and so many other factors of authentication as your additional factor to the password that you have. So this will give an additional layer of security for your vault, right? And you can share, you should be able to share passwords with multiple users. You should be able to share passwords individually as well. So these are very elementary features. And auto login, autofill of login credentials should happen. You should be able to, and use your password management service to log into websites without having to manually type your passwords and username. And you should have powerful admin controls if you're looking for a password management solution for your enterprise. Say you would have to determine what your users should and shouldn't use, right? You should have the control over what's happening in your world. So you should have powerful admin features like controlling what your user sees, determining what your users can access, identifying what your users are accessing within your vault, and so many other security features that we just described. And finally, you should be having real-time audit logs to track what your users have been doing in your vault, right? So you should be able to know at any time in the future which user had access to a password or what action they had performed in your Zoho Vault organization or whatever password management solution you go for. You should have this feature. And now to the next part, like I mentioned, there are a few good to have features that should really push you towards a password management solution. So these are good to have features that Vault gives you in addition to the must have features. So support to passwordless authentication through single sign-on is something that you should be looking at because it significantly increases the productivity of your organization. Users would no longer have to create individual accounts and passwords and worry about authentication issues, right? That's one. And you should have flexible user restrictions like IP restrictions, or you should prevent your users from sharing passwords. If you want your organization admins to only add passwords and share them with other users, you can do so. And these are certain restrictions that should be available in other solutions as well that you're looking for. And emergency access to business passwords is really critical. Let's say your technician is out on a holiday and they do not have access to your Zoho Vault account anywhere. They don't have access to internet at all. Let's say they've gone on a vacation to an island where there's pretty much zero internet connectivity. So even then, you have an option in Zoho Vault to add a particular person as a trusted emergency contact, and this emergency contact can view all the business passwords for a temporary basis, right? And when that particular user declares an emergency, they'll have access to all enterprise passwords that have not been shared with you. And don't worry, even all the actions that are performed by this guy, the emergency contact during an emergency, get tracked as well. So these are all key features that an enterprise should look for while going for a password management solution. And yeah, so you should have the option to periodically back up all your data stored in the password management solution. And another good to have feature is email alerts for critical actions performed in Vault. Let's say somebody deletes a password that they shouldn't be doing so, you should be notified immediately, right? So that's some feature that's available in Vault. You should be looking for that feature as well. And mandatory approval to access a shared password is something that's a key feature that's available predominantly in Vault. All enterprises must have shared passwords in general, right? You guys might be having critical passwords that are shared with different users. For example, IT admins would have root credentials to their servers, which should be available to all admins at any point of time, right? This is something you cannot restrict users from having. But what you can do is use Vault to restrict users from accessing these passwords without your approval. You should grant access to that password only when you find the reason to be valid, and you tell the user, you know what, okay, fine, I think this is a valid reason to access my password. Go ahead, you can access my password, and you just go ahead and unlock the password for the user. So you can temporarily lock passwords for users so that they can only unlock them when you grant them the access to do so. And again, one-click password reset for websites is another amazing feature that we have. You would be able to reset passwords for so many popular websites using Zoho Vault in just a single click from our browser extensions. So our service would reset the passwords from passwords for your account and store the new credential in Zoho Vault. So the new credential will be a really strong and powerful credential that you can automatically save to your Zoho Vault account as well. And security report for personal and business passwords, like I earlier showed you, it's the reports tab that we were looking at. You can identify what actions every user is performing on a regular basis. And finally, the last few features that are good to have are importing and syncing your users from AD and LDAP, or importing your users from Office 365, G Suite, and solutions like that. So this will help you get done with onboarding real quick. You'll be able to instantly log into Zoho Vault, right? And if you're integrating with your AD, your users can just log in with your Active Directory as well. And the credentials of your Active Directory can be used to log into Zoho as well. So that's another bonus point. And you can import your passwords from browsers, spreadsheets, or text files. So that's something that's really cool, and you should be looking at this as well. You can also import passwords from other competitor products if you're using an alternate solution, like one of our other registrants that recently mentioned. If you're using, say, something like a LastPass, you can just import passwords from LastPass to a solution as well. That works. And you can share passwords with third parties. If you would like to share passwords on a temporary basis with somebody that's not part of your Zoho Vault account, you can use our share password with third party option. And this is more or less like a one-time password sharing option if you'd like to share your passwords with a freelancer on a temporary basis. So we'll be able to keep tracks of all passwords you've shared with third parties, and we'll notify you to change your password, because it's not ideal to have a password shared with outsiders in your Vault account, right? So we'll also notify you that you've got to change your passwords. And the last couple of points is points are offline access. So Vault allows you to access your passwords even when you're offline. You can download an offline copy of your Vault account with the same security as your web application would give you, because Zoho Vault would you would be required to enter your Zoho Vault's master password to access that copy. So that's pretty much as safe as your web application as well. And finally, third-party integrations are something that are very key in Zoho Vault. We've integrated with multiple third-party solutions like ServiceNow, Zendesk, Dropbox, Google Drive, and so on. And we also have integrated with Zoho applications. We have a dedicated extension for Zoho Mail, Zoho Desk, Zoho Projects, and one for CRM in the making as well. So these are all pretty much what Zoho Vault offers. It's quite a lot, and I just conveyed a lot of information in a really short time. But this is something that you should analyze very well and very keenly if you're either using another solution or if you're looking at other solutions. Ensure that these are all things that you have, because these are going to be key factors in the long run. All right, so this is what you should be looking at, and I think I was able to get through these things in a really crisp and precise manner. Now we'll take your questions. I'm just gonna get some water and I'm gonna take your questions. Okay, we've got quite a few questions. It's cool. Let's start with the ones that were asked earlier. Okay, so there's a question from Larry. Larry says, all browsers offer the ability to store passwords. What specifically is the advantage of having a third-party software do the same? So Larry, if you see your browser store passwords and autofill them and you would like to, right, without additional authentication, but Zoho Vault is something that helps you secure your passwords with a master password, right? Your passwords will not be viewed in plain text. If somebody else accesses your browser, your passwords will not be available and easy to use for other users if you're sharing your machine, or if you're logging in at a public system or a system that's accessed by multiple people. So these are all restrictions that you would have with a browser based solution, right? If you're storing your passwords in browsers, it's also easier for your attackers to snoop on a session and get hold of your passwords. So this is where Zoho Vault helps you, is because you store all your passwords in Vault, and all your passwords are encrypted with the master password that you create for Vault. And this is something that's only known to you. It's a unique password, right? That's why we advise our users to create strong master passwords and advise them to not share these master passwords with anybody else for any reason whatsoever. I guess that should answer your question. Just gonna quickly move on.
Hello, Larry. This
Oh yeah,
is Christopher.
yeah. Christopher wants to just add on a point to that question. Hey, Christopher, glad to have you back.
All right. So, Larry, I just want to add a couple of points what my colleague Hari said.
Okay, just a moment because Christopher is finding difficulties. Yeah, Christopher, go ahead now, please.
And Larry, I just wanted to add a couple of information, to add some values, what my colleague Hari said. So also when you use a password manager, primarily you can generate strong random passwords, which is not possible with any of the browsers that we use nowadays. So you can maintain a good and strong passwords for all the websites that you use, and that will be unique. And other thing is the mobility of your passwords. So even if you access it, like from your colleague's machine or from your neighbor's machine, you cannot, sync your browser account on other browsers or someone else's machines. But in case of Vault, you can just, log into the Vault website, even though it's a different user's PC. You can just log into it. You can retrieve passwords, and then you can sign out from your account. And if you are working as a team in a multi-user environment, Zoho Vault allows you to share passwords to other users. So you can also consider these options as a valid ones when using a password management solution. And there is another question about how do we add Zoho Vault in Zoho One. So as soon as you log into your Zoho One, one.zoho.com, you can go to the admin section, and the admin section you can find applications. Under applications, you can add Zoho Vault as an application to your Zoho One system, and you can add required users or assign users to the Vault application. And will this program only store passwords on the internet, or will it also store passwords for desktop applications? A question from Robin. Hi, Robin. To answer your question, you can store any type of passwords, website passwords, application passwords. Also, you can store any type of sensitive information in the Vault, because Vault allows that flexibility. You can create custom secret types in the product. Through that, you can add any, or you can store any type of information. But at present, the product allows you to autofill or auto login for websites. One moment.
Thank you, Christopher, on that. And Robin, I've got one quick update from our side. Like you've mentioned, if we would be able to support, if we would be able to help you access desktop passwords of desktop applications as well, you can pretty much do so, but not right away. We are in the process of getting our desktop apps ready for this. By the end of this quarter or early Q2, we should be able to give you more updates on that. We're looking at releasing our desktop applications for your Linux machines, your Windows machines, and also your Mac as well. So that's something that should help you out. I guess that answers your question. So yeah, please look out for the updates from our side. We have a monthly webinar running from our end. We'll be giving you constant updates through the webinars, and you can also get in touch to support at zohoworld.com anytime to get more details on that. And yeah, there's another question from Angel Cad, I guess. And I think, Angel, I think you were looking at Zoho Vault's current interface. The one that I showed you was a new interface that we are in the process of releasing soon. We've already started giving out beta access, as I just said in the later portion of the session. So if you haven't filled the survey already to enroll yourself to the beta, you can just do so by using the link that's available in the chat section. I think that answers your question. Yeah, Christopher's on it right away. He's posted the link again. Yeah. Let's move on to other questions. Okay. Yeah. Randall wants to know how he can get access to the new version of Zoho Vault. Randall, you can, if you've already enrolled yourself to the new version of Zoho Vault, the new interface of Zoho Vault, you wouldn't have to worry. We'll be enabling beta access for your account in about 24 hours, so that should get you set. I think that answers your question. Quickly moving on to the next one. Brett wants to know if he can access, if he can get hands on a video that describes single sign-on. Sure, Brett, no issues. We can just quickly send you a link to Zoho Vault single sign-on process as well. Let's just quickly search for the video. Okay, Christopher's on it again. He's got the link for you guys. We'll just post it on the chat so that everybody can access that. We'll just broadcast that in about a minute from now. We've got a lot of questions, guys. That's really interesting. Let's just quickly go through the next question. Just a moment. Okay, yeah, so you would be all right. Yeah, so back to the questions again. Okay, I was just sorting through the questions. Do you have any guides for importing passwords from other services like 1Password or LastPass? Yes, Brett, we do. We'll just share all these steps with you shortly. We'll just drop you all these steps quite soon over email as well. Can you please drop your email address in the chat section, or if you wouldn't mind, if you can just drop a quick request to support@zohovault.com, we'll really be able to give you the resources that you need right away. We're just sending you the email address as well. All right, cool. Now moving on to the next questions. Oh, Felix is already part of the beta. Yeah, Felix, thank you so much. I think you were part of the first bunch of customers that got access to the beta version, and we're really glad for all the feedback you've shared with us. Thank you so much. Okay, there's a question about YubiKey integration, and I think Christopher would want to take this on. What's the status regarding YubiKey integration instead of having to manually type in the master password? That's Felix's question. Christopher, you want to take this?
Hi, Felix. This is Christopher again. And to answer your question, YubiKey can be configured as a second factor authentication when you sign into Zoho, but unfortunately, it cannot be configured as an alternate for the passphrase or the master password. So, but we are still analyzing some better options now. So we will soon keep you posted on this in our future webinars.
Thank you for that quick update, Christopher. I hope Felix would have got that. Felix, let me know if you have any other questions as well. We're going to run through other questions. Gary has a question. If there's a if as an MSP he can manage multiple companies with it. Gary, right now there's a couple of customers that have been customizing Vault in order to make Vault act like an MSP, but right now we don't have an MSP solution. It's already part of our pipeline. We've been having internal discussions already to help all our partners make better use of Zoho Vault in the future. This is something that's happening behind the scenes, and as and when we get updates, we'll be really we'll ensure that we pass this on to you as well. We'll definitely keep a note of this. A user NTB has asked how it compares with Bitwarden. Um, hey there. So right now, Zoho Vault is something that actually has quite a lot of features. In comparison with Bitwarden, we have a complete section that describes how Zoho Vault does better than Bitwarden. Bitwarden is an amazing service as well on its own, and there have been multiple reviews from users online as well, but it doesn't have the enterprise grade features that would be something that is key for all organizations. And personally, if you would ask my opinion, I would choose Zoho Vault because it's got so much options, so much security features, as in you have so many things that you can track down with your audits. You have emergency access that you can make use of, and there are a couple of surprise features that will be coming out in our new UI in about a month and a half from now, which we'll be discussing in our upcoming webinars. As a service, Zoho Vault provides multiple security services in comparison with Bitwarden, as you'd mentioned. I would definitely ask you to give Zoho Vault a try, and I would really like to know more from you and learn how Zoho Vault does fare in comparison with Bitwarden. But for now, I can just share you the comparison document that we had recently published, comparing Zoho Vault's feature with Bitwarden and why Zoho Vault is a lot better. Okay. Drayton has a question about the differences between Zoho Vault and the SSO that's available in Zoho Vault and SSO solutions like Octane One Login. Drayton, Octane One Login are dedicated single sign-on services that allow your enterprises to configure SSO for all the applications that you have in your organization. But what Vault does is it also helps you manage password management requests along with single sign-on as well. So it's a two-in-one solution. It helps you manage your access requests as well. Octane One Login do not have extensive security features related to password management. Yes, you can save your passwords in Octane One Login, but you would not experience the password management experience that you would get with Zoho Vault. So if you're looking for some solution that can manage both SSO and password management, I think Zoho Vault will be your ideal choice because it gives you two solutions for the price of one product. And also, you would be able to configure any number of applications without any limit. If you're part of the enterprise edition, or if you're part of Zoho One, you can configure unlimited number of single sign-on applications with Zoho Vault. I think that answers your question. Is there any online training for our team to learn Zoho Vault and begin using properly? James, we've got a product demo video that can be useful. Or if you would really want your entire team to get on board with Zoho Vault, you can contact support at zohovault.com as well. We'll be able to conduct a live demo. We'll get your password management requests, and we'll be able to help you with a customized demo of our product as well. So if you're interested, please feel free to drop an email to support at zohoworld.com. You can book a session with our team at any point. Okay. Drew, we don't currently support global password reset for all apps and secrets. This is something again that's in the pipeline as well. Right now, you can reset individual passwords instantly for for a bunch of popular websites that we support. That works seamlessly, but bulk reset is another feature that's in a pipeline. So this should be something you should be hearing in future updates from us. Yeah, it's available only for a specific bunch of websites. Sage wants to know, when we are giving employees passwords, is it the actual password or just a link that they won't need the passwords with. So when you share a password with one-click login permission that's available in Zoho Vault, your users can use our browser extension to automatically log in to that particular account, and that's the only thing that they can do. They'll not be able to view the password in plain text in our product. They'll only be able to log in to that particular account. The username and password will, I mean, the username will be auto populated and the password will be hidden from the user's site. So yeah, that's what happens. Does that answer your question? Courtney wants to know how you can import passwords from a browser. Courtney, you can just export all the passwords from your browser. We can share the steps with you if required. Please do write to support@zohoworld.com. We can help you with your preferred choice of browser, but basically you can just export passwords from your browser and quickly import them to your Zoho Vault account by going to the tool section from where you can import your passwords. Or if you're on the new UI, you can just go to our passwords tab from where you can select import and select standard CSV from where you can import all your passwords, and done. That's how you can pretty much access your stuff. Yeah, Robin, for now you can just store passwords for your desktop application, but you'll not be able to autofill them for now. This is something that's in the work, and probably in a couple of months you'll be hearing more updates from us about the desktop applications. So I think that should help you solve this issue. Yes, Drew, it's possible to save an individual can actually save a personal password in Zoho Vault. We have two classifications. One is personal and another one is enterprise. Whenever you save a password with the enterprise classification, you'll be able to share the password with other users and outsiders. But if you enter the classification as personal, you'll only be able to access your password. I mean, only you will be able to access the password. Nobody else will be able to access your passwords. Not even the admin can access your passwords. We earlier spoke about a feature called emergency access, right, wherein an emergency contact can view all unshared passwords of users in the organization. Even during that scenario, only enterprise passwords can be viewed by emergency contacts and not the personal passwords. Your personal passwords are really critical for you and they just stay with you, nowhere else. Okay, Robin, I'm not quite sure if I can commit a timeline, but yeah, like I earlier mentioned, you will be hearing updates about the desktop app quite soon from us. Jason, you cannot share. Okay, so Jason has a question. I have multiple Zoho One accounts. Can I share passwords between these accounts? Jason, if you form a Zoho Vault organization within these accounts, you will be able to share passwords. As in, if let's say 20 employees in your organization have 20 Zoho One licenses, you can ask your users to access Zoho Vault through these licenses, and you can add them to your particular organization. If you do so, you'll be able to share passwords within those accounts. But if you don't do so, unless and until they are a part of your organization, they'll not be able to view, or you'll not be able to share passwords with them. I hope that answers your question. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin's got another webinar to run off to. Kevin's currently using a different solution and he would like to evaluate Zoho Vault, especially with the new UI coming up. Thank you so much, Kevin. This is what we really, really wanted to. Thank you so much. Will there be a possibility to auto login when a website has a login overlay instead of a login page? Okay, Christopher, I'm not able to interpret the question. Do you want to take this up?
Yeah.
Sure. Always there to help you.
Hi, Cody. So to answer your question, I believe that as soon as you access the website, I believe you will click on the login link and that will show you a pop-up window with the username and password prompts. So if that is the case, you can right click anywhere on the web page and you can choose the Zoho Vault option in the context menu. Provided you should have the Zoho Vault extension installed in the browser. In case if you still have issues with the site, you can shoot us an email to our support team, support@zohovault.com. We'll analyze and update you a workaround to fix this. So, Cody, you have also mentioned that the setup guide for YubiKey doesn't help. Sorry for the inconvenience. Uh, you can drop us an email on this, so we will forward it to our accounts team and make sure you set up YubiKey for your TFA. So request new application. When you request an application, it will take a time because we also need to set up an account on that particular service. And we need to create an application offsite, which requires some time for us to implement it. So otherwise, there is an option where you can create custom applications in the product. So if you know your service provider details or you have an metadata XML file from the service provider, you can import and you can create the application.
Hey Cody, I guess Christopher's answer would have I think Christopher would have answered your question, and that should really have helped you out. Let me know if you would need additional help as well. Guys, feel free to quickly post your questions. We've like run out of time, but still it's really glad to see so many questions about password management. We'll be able to take your questions for a few more minutes as well. If you've got any additional questions, feel free to post them. And if you got any feedback for us, you can just share them with us at support@zohovault.com. Or if you like the session, you can share your feedback. Or if you would want us to add uh, a bit more content, or if you would want us to like change the type of content we present on our webinars, or if you have a suggestion for our next webinar, feel free to do so. Drop your questions and suggestions and feedback to support@zohovault.com. We're just gonna wait for like a couple more minutes and see if you guys have got additional questions. Please don't hesitate. Feel free to drop a question using the Q&A section. We'll be able to take them right away. And at any time, if you would like help to set up your Zoho Vault account, if you're moving from a different solution, if you'd like to try out Zoho Vault, feel free to do so. And if you have any issues, just drop a mail to support@zohovault.com. We'll be getting to you right away. Thank you, Cody. Yeah, that'll definitely help. Please send in your questions to our support as well. We'll be able to get to your questions right away. Sure, yeah, guys, you will be getting access to this session's recording as well. Don't worry, we'll be able to we'll be processing this video soon, and we'll be sending it out for you. You'll be able to share it with your team members and anybody that would like to view it. Okay, just gonna take last few questions if you've got any, and we'll quickly be winding up. Guys, if you've got anything else, you can just quickly post them. I hope the session was really informative for you guys, and yeah, support@zohovault.com, Cody, that's right. If you guys have got any other questions, you can also feel free to drop them at support@zohovault.com. And if you guys haven't enrolled to our new user interface, please feel free to do so. I'm just going to quickly post the link to the new user interface, to the survey link where you can enroll to get access to our new user interface. So if you guys haven't already enrolled for the new UI, you can just do so. Yeah, NTB has a question. Does Vault work well on mobile phones? Yes, NTB, we've got mobile applications for Android and iOS as well. We just released a new UI for our mobile apps as well. You can feel free to get access to our mobile apps and uh, mobile apps for iOS and Android as well. You can just try them out. You can just try them out and give your feedback to us. You should find us by searching for Zoho Vault on either of these Play Stores or the App Store. We also have browser extensions that you can make use of. You can just visit. I'm just going to quickly drop a link to you guys from where you can maybe download stuff. I think that'll be really helpful. I'm just quickly going to do that. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I am having issues with pasting the link, but yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you so much. We're really happy to present this session for you guys. Coding the new UI transformation would be really seamless. You would just have to log in back to your account. Once the new UI access is enabled for your account, you can just log in, and that's pretty much it. You would be able to access all your all your passwords in the new user interface. You'll not have any issues moving to the new UI. It's still in the beta phase though, so you might face issues. You can just report whatever issue you might come across with us. We haven't completely released the new user interface yet. We're still in the testing phase. If you come across any show-stopping issues, or if you've got any feature requests or suggestions for us, you guys can feel free to do so. We'd really love to hear from you. All right, people, thank you so much. It's way over time. We've just run out of time right now, and if you've got any additional questions, like I mentioned, please drop them to support@zohoworld.com. We'll be happy to take up all your questions. And if you need any help setting up your account, or if you'd like a demo session for your company, or if you'd like to get in touch with our sales team, if you'd want to purchase Zoho Vault as well, feel free to drop an email to support@zohoworld.com. We'll get right back to you. For now, you'll only be able to access the new user interface for your account, Cody. But if you would want everybody in your organization to access new UI, can you can you send us a detailed email to support, because we'll be able to take this on an individual case basis. We'll just maybe see if we can enable new UI access for everybody in your organization as well. I think if you got any other questions, guys, please go ahead and post them on support@zohoworld.com, because we're done for now. Thank you so much for being a part of this session. Thank you so much for being patient for over an hour. It's been really wonderful connecting with a lot of you people here. And guys that have raised your hands, can you please just connect with us over support@zohoworld.com, because we are done for the session. Thank you, everyone. It's been a wonderful session. I hope to meet you guys again in another one of our sessions. See you soon.